Welcome to Teach Me to Dad, Season 2, the first dad chat of the season. This episode is a conversation that I had with a friend of mine, Ben Harris. He lives over in New Zealand and he was over in Australia, so we got a chance to sit down and have a chat. He's a mad dad with lots of fun ideas and interesting, thoughtful ideas. And so really excited for you to hear this episode. Particularly, we have a good extended point where we talk about the values that him and Sophie have for their household and how that plays out practically. And so that's really good. He shares lots of ideas that he have that I love. One idea that I hated in the conversation. So it should be really good. The aim for this podcast is I want to have chats with dads who are trying to honor God in how they raise their kids and trying to help their kids know and trust Jesus. And I'm hoping that these conversations encourage each other as we hear what other dads are doing. So that's kind of what the aim is. If you're new to the podcast and you've joined us at season 2, heaps good to have you. I'm Kurtis. I'm in each one chatting to different dads. So I've got 3 kids at this point, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And if this is your first episode, we've got a backlog, season 1, bit of the journey that I've gone on. And so I encourage you to duck back there, start at the start, or just keep jumping in from here. Now, I do have a website for the podcast, albeit just link in the description. Basically, that's just a way to contact. It's basically a website with nothing but a contact form. If you want to reach out, give thoughts, feedback, ask any questions, that's there. So the link will be there. I should say at the start of the season, big thank you to those of you who supported the podcast, chipped into the GoFundMe. So that's been able to go to putting the word out there. We've done a little bit of advertising this season, so that's all gone towards that. So big thanks to those of you who have got behind it. And if you're listening because you saw this pop up somewhere, good to have you. There's been some people who wanted to include you in what we're doing here. So there you go. Now, before we get into the episode, I wanted to tell you about an app. So an app that's sponsoring the show. It's called Fruit. It's a Bible reading app to help busy Christians get into the Bible and grow. And I'll tell you why I'm keen to tell you about it. This was a sponsor that I approached because I thought it would be a good one to bring up on the show. So if you're like most dads, you probably don't have much free time to read the Bible and it's hard to pull that off consistently. And so Fruit is an app to help with that. It's new. It's come from Australia. It's a simple, usable Bible app that incorporates Bible, prayer, reflection. And so it's got lots of very simple, usable features like explain a verse. You can get a Bible reading plan that you can pick a preset one or create your own depending on what you want to be reading. But there's this epic feature that I love where it's got like a social media type feed in it. None of the junk and addictive stuff of social media kind of things. But it's a way that you can see other people's reflections on bits of the Bible they've been reading. So it's got this kind of encourage one another daily feature into it, which is just a cool feature to add into your devotional time, being encouraged by others. So I'd check it out just for that. So this app's just launched. There'll be a link in the description of the podcast of where you can sign up. So you kind of you can sign up at the website to get on like a wait list, and they kind of feed people into the community slowly because it's community based with that encouragement part. So that's Fruit. Big thanks to them. Love that. But let's get into it. On to the episode. Ben, teach me to dad.
Teach me to dad, I am a dad and I need some help. Teach me to dad, I'll never learn this by myself. Teach me to dad, I am a dad.
Welcome, Ben Harris. Pumped to chat to you. Thanks for being here.
Kurtis, it's a real joy.
I am glad to have you. You are in the country. You're in New Zealand at the moment, and so you're in town so we could sit down in person.
Yeah, swung over the ditch.
Which I'm pumped about. So we've done church together and study together and ministry together in a bunch of different contexts, and so I've been friends in that context for a while. But Well, I'll tell you why I wanted to chat to you and why you came to mind
Yeah, great.
in the form of a question. In the last 5 years, how many hobbies do you reckon you've had or had a go at?
That's great. And can I just say, I love being here because I'm not the most Bergen person in the room. I was talking to some of my Kiwi mates that are across with us for the thing that we're in Australia, and they're like, "Hey, people here sound like you. They just have a bit of a Bergen," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's the coast, you know." So hobbies, I have tried. Oh, just recently, I just got a cold dripper, which has been really enjoyable. So in the coffee space, Sophie bought me for Christmas some new fermenting jars. So pickling, like kombucha, that kind of stuff.
You say that like that's new, but like I'm sure like 6 years ago, I've had pickled kimchi from your house and a bottle of cold brew, which I hated.
Okay,
But that's 'cause I hate cold brew.
What have I started CrossFit.
Yeah.
Got sucked into the cult of CrossFit.
Yes.
Yeah, hurt my arm doing that one. Physios love CrossFit. What else have I tried that's new? I've been actually New Zealand's got lots of nice nature like walks and stuff. So I've been getting outside, touching grass. They call it
grass.
touch grass.
Cool hobby.
Yeah.
80-year-old.
Well, I mean, people ask me what my hobbies are. I'm kind of like going to parks with my kids. I don't know, like
Well,
I don't
here's
have
the
extra
question.
time for
Have you
hobbies.
done bonsai trees? I feel like you could- Of course you have.
Do you know, my nana taught me how to like trim a bonsai tree and like you wire it so the branches. Yeah, I love Japanese bonsai trees, the art, but Sophie's not up that, my wife. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a tester. The only people I know that do bonsai trees are retired or hobbies people.
Yeah. One of my hobbies would almost be like if someone loves doing something, I love doing it with them.
Yes.
I remember I got into rock climbing big at one point just because I had some mates that liked rock climbing. And they were like,
Yes.
hey, come with me. I was like, this is awesome. You love it. What do you love about it? Let's do it together.
You told me that was an idea you floated once as a podcast for you to do.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Is you following around someone with their hobby, doing it with them, getting excited
just
for
trying
them,
new hobbies.
and deciding whether you take it on. I still back that.
The problem is I suck at everything because I don't actually stick with any of my hobbies. But
Well,
it's
that-
fun. I enjoy it.
That was going to be my next question. At what percentage of mastery do you need to take a hobby to?
I think so. My personality, I'm very all or nothing, very quite intense. And so I actually think it's dangerous when I get good at something. So I want to do it to enjoy something new. But there's a moment where it clicks and I'm like, oh, should I do this? A good example, we've done this before, spike ball.
Yeah.
It's this like weird little sport with a net. It's very niche. But I got really into it. And at one point I was playing like 2 times a week doing round like spike ball stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? But so I think there's a sweet spot, maybe 4 out of 10. Once I get above 4 out of 10 good, I'm like, oh, I'm actually good at this. And that's actually dangerous for me.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to just learn it and enjoy
As
it.
soon as you get over 4 out
Yeah.
of 10, you're going to go for 10.
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
consumed.
So I actually
Yep.
don't invest too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
So this is why I wanted to talk to you, right? Because I know that you're someone that's gets excited to try new things, and new ideas interest you, excite you. You get into them, and I like new things. So I'm an ideas guy. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll think of a new idea, move on. Not great at sticking with ideas. Love thinking of new ideas. And look, for some people, in the realm of parenting, I think some people, the last thing they want to hear is 5 new things to do because that's crippling. But
Yeah.
I love it. I love give me a new idea. And so I wanted to pick your brain on some ideas you've tried, see what's stuck, see what hasn't, and just get a little bit inspired by some ideas.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted
I've
to
got
talk
so
to you.
many failed ideas.
Yes.
Particularly as a dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe before we come to some of your ideas, right? When it comes to your kids,
Yeah.
what do you want from? Why do you? Because I know that you think creatively about this and you want to try things. So kind of give me a sense, like, what's your aim and why do you want to think creatively? If that's the right word.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, I think for me, parenting is chaos, right? In so many ways, particularly when they're young. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and nearly 2-year-old. So I mean, you know this, but for listeners that are listening in, and it's kind of like, I only know about that small season of parenting. So there'll be heaps of stuff when it get to when they're teenagers. They'll be like, I have no idea. Like, I thought it was hard then. Wait till you have to deal with teenage emotions or whatever. I don't know. But just for the phase that we're in, I've just found, for me, for my wife, being really clear on the big picture. We're trying to make disciples. We're trying to help them be little disciples who grow and have this real clarity around the God who is their Father, who loves them, the God who, through the love of his Son, Jesus, who died for them, who's given them his Spirit, who calls them to obey him, to love him, to give their lives to worship of him. That, for me, is the big picture. And that's, I guess I put that under the category of spiritual maturity. But when I'm thinking, I'm actually, as a dad, that's my main responsibility, but not my only sphere of responsibility. So I'm trying to think, well as spiritual maturity, I'm trying to help them become mature physically, learn to tie their shoelaces, learn to toilet train. That is chaos at the moment for us. The physical stuff, that's the emotional. Hey, learn how to regulate your emotions and chat to someone. But basically that sphere of, I want them to be a disciple of Jesus. And so particularly the most important thing there is the spiritual side. But, there's a bunch of different facets there where it's like physical, relational, emotional, social, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to be really clear on where I want to, under God, see them go. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So I want to play a game.
Yeah.
It's called Tops or Flops.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want you to give me the headline of an idea. And first, I would like to guess whether the idea was a winner or not in practice. So I'd love you to give me an idea. I'd love you to name it. This idea is called blah. Tell me a loose sense of what it is and what its aim is. But don't yet tell me whether it was a winner or not, because I'd like to guess.
Okay.
So
okay. I'm gonna have to name them in a little bit ambiguous ways then.
Then the the memory verse fiasco.
Yeah.
No, go on. So give me an idea. Number one. Welcome to Tops or Flops with Ben Harris.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, first idea. This is one I've been thinking about a little bit recently, and we've tried to implement is pom-poms in a jar.
Pom-poms in a jar. Okay, give me the idea.
So the idea is, I'm thinking here about positive reinforcement.
Yep.
So I found in my parenting, I was actually getting I felt quite negative. I was telling my kids what I didn't want them to do. And I was like, this sucks. What do I do? I asked around and people, have you tried, positive? And I was like, let me give that a go. And so the idea is every time they do something that's positive that I like, that we're trying to see, I put a pom-pom in the jar and then when the jar's full, they get a reward of some kind.
Yeah, great. So you're trying to positively reinforce behaviours.
Yeah.
I know I've got a good prediction how it went.
Yeah.
Because I've done this. We've
Okay.
done marbles in a jar. Yeah, some of my kids have some crossover personalities with yours.
Yeah.
So here's how I think it's gone, and I've got thoughts on it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I want yours, right?
Yeah.
I think it's generally gone pretty well.
Yeah.
And once it's got going, they love the idea of the pom-pom in a jar. And as soon as they remember there's a pom-pom in the jar, it draws out a good behaviour. Tops. What do you think?
Yeah, that's been good. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah?
Although I will say, the times that it flops are when I forget about it.
Yeah.
Because I just forget, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a jar system. Or actually, one time we filled up the jar, and the reward was going to be going on a walk or something, and we couldn't do it for 2 weeks, and we just forgot about it, and the whole thing ended up being a flop. But in general, that's been a really positive thing to celebrate and value with them the positive stuff.
Yeah. We did that. We picked a one behavior to work on.
Yes, that's what we did.
The most chaotic at the time.
Yeah.
Though interesting, right? I talked to, it would have been episode 3 of the first season. Talked to Jackson Steinbeck, teacher.
Yeah.
And we talked about extrinsic and intrinsic motivators. And since that, I've ditched marbles in a jar.
Interesting.
There you go.
Because it's too externally motivated.
Yeah, I think so. It was not because it was bad. It wasn't. It was more we were trying to talk about best form motivators, and I've been pondering that lots.
Yeah.
And so it lost my enthusiasm for it a bit.
Yeah,
I actually also found it worked plenty fine. So I'm not down on.
Yeah, it's
I'm
one
not down
tool
on
in a
pom-poms
tool
jar.
belt. I think if it was your only thing, you'd be like that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't cut it.
Yeah, cool. All right, give me another one.
Okay, I don't know how to phrase this ambiguously. Okay, catechism.
Yeah, catechism.
Helping my kids learn the basic truths about who
Yes.
God is.
This is
in
great,
the
right?
Bible.
I've tried this a couple months ago. So,
Yeah, okay.
So I reckon this is interesting, right? So catechism. Did you get the app? Was it the
Yeah,
New
yeah,
City
New
Catechism?
City Catechism,
It's
Tim
got an,
Keller's stuff,
It's got an app.
kid
with
version.
It's got a kid version.
It's amazing.
Question, swipe, get an answer, get a condensed kid answer. Press
Yeah.
the little button. It sings it in a little song.
Yeah.
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 So what was your aim with this idea?
Yeah, aim was to. I think my primary aim was get them to see more of who God is. I think as my kids have grown up, and I mean 6, they're not really that grown up, but particularly from like 4 years onwards, seeing more of who God is, His character, His love. So that was my primary aim, was to do that with them.
Yeah. I'm gonna predict a 55% success, and here's my prediction of how it went. I think it was cool and exciting when it started. If you're anything like me, I'm just projecting, by the way.
We are like quite similar, Curtis. So
I think maybe your eldest kind of understood it, but there was an understandings gap I found for mine. Like the first one was like, what's our only hope in life and death? That we're not our own, but we belong to God.
Yeah.
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
But it was conceptually a tricky start.
Yes.
For my kids. Whereas who made everything? God. That was simple.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I think because you're an ideas guy like me, you didn't stick at it.
Yeah. Curtis.
How did I go?
You know me well. Yeah. I actually, surprisingly, this one worked the best with
cool.
the when my son was like 2.5 or 3.
Yeah.
So he could speak, and he actually started memorizing them and he loved it. And I think the other ones, I might come back to it, but what I found was it had about 6 months of goodness, or maybe a little bit less. And then he worked out that he could be silly with it. And so he was like, what's my hope in life and death? And he was like, to do poops.
Your boy?
Yeah, yeah.
Your little boy did
Yeah. So
Wow.
he had fun with it. And then I was like, no, like, and I was getting frustrated and like a bit stern, and it went on for like maybe like 3 or 4 days, and I was like, this isn't working anymore. Like, that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I think it worked for a little bit, and I was like, maybe we'll come back to it later. And so we transitioned then to trying to do more songs that have like Bible verses in them, truths about God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you come back to catechisms?
I think so.
I feel me too. Something about it I really like as a teaching thing.
It's partly the memory, and I was enjoying memorizing them alongside him. I was like, it's really cool. And they're kind of, I think there's a stability to go, like a lot of these, they're from documents that Christians had written that Christians have been saying and believing for like a long time. So I actually found it really cool to connect back into like Christianity, my faith, my kids' faith. It's not just me and us in our little moment in time. This is what Christians have believed for a long time. And so that was actually really helpful, I think, for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll come back to it.
Oh, me too. I'm not done. The catechism thing, like, it's not super normal, natural to me. Like, I didn't grow up with catechism. I didn't grow in a Christian household. But yeah, I think, I'm not done with that. I love the idea of if you learned that, man, you've got a lot under your belt.
Yeah,
like, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's very systematic.
And I think
like
that the other thing that I was just watching was that it didn't become just about knowledge. So in the prayers, in the way that we talked about it, I was trying to make it like, wow, like, isn't God amazing? Doesn't He love us? Isn't that a great experience of God? Not just, I don't want my kids to just know things about God. And maybe the catechism on its own just it leans a little bit more in that direction, but still a useful, cool tool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, at the moment, Eden, my girl, she's 4. Her favorite song is Colin Buchanan, Isaiah 53:6.
Yeah.
And she loves that. We all like sheep have. If you know that song, Colin's awesome. So that's more her pace and style of learning about God.
Yeah.
In this moment, rather than memorizing.
Yeah.
Catechism.
So I did this once, right? In the catechism vibe, I tried to make sort of my own version of this a couple of years ago. I made it.
I remember all the little.
I
remember seeing it. It was epic.
I made it too early in my kids' life that when I was most enthused, they were too young. But I will come back, and I made little decks, almost like 10 cards in a deck of different topics, that was kind of like a catechism. It was almost like there was a deck that's like, what's God like? Front, good, back, explanation of what that means. It means he always does what's good, he never does what's bad. Something simple like that. A deck of cards, a deck of the gospel, sin, the cross, all this stuff. And it was at the heart of it, I was just trying to recreate a catechism. But that was I just put a lot of effort into starting an idea and less into sticking with an idea.
Yeah. It's a trickiness. I think getting the balance right of sometimes sticking with the ideas that you have, and I think parenting's all that consistency. If you chop and change all the time, you're never going to...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know for me too, Curtis. I'm in the same boat.
I thought it was all about doing new things.
Yeah. But I think I've worked out parenting's all about consistency. You need to stick with stuff, but also God's calling me to be faithful as a parent with how he's made me. And I'm just not a stick with the same routine every day kind of person. And so there's a sense there where there's a tension where I'm...
Parenting's all about consistency, but you're not a consistent kind of guy.
Yeah. And actually God's wired me that way, and he's not taken it back, and he's called me to be a faithful parent with how he's wired me. And so sometimes I'm like, I need to be more consistent and just stick with this. And other times I'm like, this is cool. Let's try something new. My kids are excited to do something new. There's a tension there.
I'm with you. That's why I wanted to
wrestle
talk to you.
with. Yeah.
Exactly that. That's why I wanted to pick your brain.
Yeah.
So give me another one. Go on.
Okay.
Number 3.
Okay, another one. Setting a family values for our family.
So I've seen you post this on Instagram, but I haven't talked to you about how it went.
Yeah.
So give me the idea.
Yeah, okay, so the idea is, similar to the positive, I think we had kind of hit a stage where we found, Soph and I, my wife, we've got a really clearly articulated, thought out, how do we want to live in the world? And that was for us as a couple. But then we had kids and we were like, they're part of it, but there's a lot of chaos there. And we realized we'd gotten, like, our oldest is now 6, and we're like, we don't actually ever talk to him about where we're going as a family, what matters to us as a family, why we want to be the way we are. And so we thought, hey, let's just try and codify this a little bit, and also maybe use it as a positive reinforcement, kind of like when the kids exemplify that value, we go out, we cheer, we celebrate, we take them out for a treat. Like, that was so cool. You were showing that value, and I just love to see that. It makes my heart sing. Yeah, so doing that with the kids, but also just codifying like the kind of family we want to be, and so they know. Because I think I found that they weren't clear on it, and so I needed to be clear with my wife, and together be clear with them. So
this is totally hitting that intrinsic motivators, intrinsic reward type thing. I think that's really capturing it. And tell me if it's right. It's almost the positive side of rules.
Yeah.
Is that kind of right? Like, so we've tried like rules, house rules.
Yeah.
And we started with that, but it was mostly don't. You know what I mean? Don't hit people.
Yeah.
Don't. Well, and these were our 4 rules when we did this, right? It was no hitting. No talking over mum and dad. Man, that just drove us crazy. It was all right, if we're talking, you wait. Like, respect our relationship a little bit. If someone needs space, give them space. And something else. It was just a basic listen and obey mum and dad.
Yeah, cool.
And that was cool. But this thing seems like it's getting to the heart. It's more positively driven. These are our values. This sound about right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm strongly saying this was tops, and if it wasn't tops, I back that long term it will be tops. I love this. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's been really good. Yes. It's been great.
Tell me about it. Tell me how this has gone.
Lots of little wins across the board that I've just seen with the kids.
Could you give me an example of where this would play in?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think partly you go like, what does the Bible say about being a disciple of Jesus? Those are just our values. But we particularly have picked some that we like want to codify into our family with who our kids are. And so an example is...
actually, can you give us what they are?
Yeah,
can I put these up?
Yeah. I can send you the photo. And I mean, like, I've tried to put like, what's the value? Where do I set in the Bible? And then where will that play out on the ground for our family life?
I'll put this up on the podcast Instagram, and I'll put a link to it somewhere. So
Yeah,
we can see
cool.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I'll put it at the end. Of, yeah, anyway. Yeah.
And it's so far from perfect. It was just a thing that I one of the things I love doing is a new thing. I'm what they call a Canva designer. So, so anyone who's done any design work would look at it and be like, "That's awful." But I had real fun. Like Canva like does it all for you, and so I just popped it on there.
So go on,
And
give me what
Sophie was incredulous that I think I spent a couple of hours on this just because it was fun. I was just trying. So the values are Jesus at the center, and then the other 4 values that surround that are so humility, teamwork, the truth, and gratitude. And so we've tried to capture, particularly with our kids in the stage of life there, and these might change in 10 years' time, but I think codify some of what we want to value as a family. And so teamwork, the idea there is that we want to be a family that's on mission for Jesus together, working together as a team. And so I this is loose, but I just tie lots of things into that. Like when I see my son share a toy with his brother, I'm like, hey, Ruben, that is awesome teamwork. You guys are working together. You're serving him in our family. Our family's goal is to love each other, and so you're part of that. And so I praise him. Or we have, actually, our kids are, it's funny, when someone comes to the door, we've talked with the kids about, hey, we're on mission to Jesus. We want to be a family that loves others. And so when people come to our house, we don't, if there's kids, you introduce them to your toys, you show them around, you share your toys. You don't just like hit them when they pick up your truck. And so what my kids do now, they're almost too intense. When someone opens the door and comes in, Ruben or Eden, the 2 oldest ones, will run over and be like, hey, welcome to our house. Can I get you a drink? You can have a tea or a coffee or soda water, or there's some juice in the fridge, or let me get you a cup. And then they're carrying this glass around like it's an 80% chance of dropping on the floor. But why they do that is because we've had a conversation. Hey, we want to be a team in loving people. And so when people come, why don't you be the one to offer them a drink, show them around? And so they're part of it.
Yeah.
So I think the real joy there is just seeing, here's the thing that we value, and it's not mum and dad value this and the kids are an obstacle or a hindrance to the family value. It's how can we invite you to be part of what we're doing together?
Yes.
And so they're like, I'm in, I want to be part of it. They're excited for it. So there's one example.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And so your teamwork's capturing things like kindness, love. Lots of those I can see how that comes into it. Tell me a bit about each one. So that's the teamwork. Tell me about humility. Why that one? What does that look like for your kids?
Humility. So the key verse is Philippians 2, verse 3. Don't do anything out of selfish ambition, but in humility count others as greater than yourselves. And I think one of the key things I do as a dad, for myself, but also with my kids, is just help them see that they are not the center of the universe. They're not in control. They're not the boss. They're not the most important. And so it's humility. Where does it play? Well, it plays out in respect. Mm-hmm. So humility to say, I'm not in the universe. I want to, someone else is God. But even humility to say, hey, God has given my parents to me and I actually need to listen to them. And so there's a humility in respecting the authority of the parenting structure. We also really praise it when we see humility and kindness. Because sharing, I mean, some of these overlap, but, sharing a toy, being kind to someone else, speaking kindly to others. Hey, what are you doing in those moments? You're actually saying you matter to me. And so that's actually a form of, humility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's been good. Particularly relationally, humility plays itself.
Am I understanding that one right? That it's the moments for the kids where they want to put themselves first, but need to think of others more significant than themselves.
Yeah.
Those kind of moments.
Yeah. I think
don't want to do what you tell me to do. I
Yeah.
want to do it this way. Like, these are the moments where humility is the virtue that wins.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The other one where we've seen cool wins, and I actually model this myself, is seeing when I have wronged or done the wrong thing, am I willing to come and apologize? I think that takes humility.
Yeah.
And as a dad, I try to do that often. And I have heaps of opportunities to apologize to my kids because I stuff up all the time. I fail, I let them down. The other week, I promised my son that I'd play Lego with him, and I ran out of time. And then he just wanted to play Lego with me. And I snapped at him. I was like, I don't have time right now, mate. I just can't do it. And walked away. And it hurt him, and I just had to, I left, but I came back later and I said, I'm so sorry. I should have prioritized that time. I said we would do it and I let you down and I'm just really sorry.
Yeah.
So I try to model that for him, and Soph does as well. And what we're trying to help them do is see that they can do that too.
Yeah.
And I think that we've seen some cool wins there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's come out actually lots as I've chatted to different dads through this. The apologizing to the kids
Yeah.
has been a real like I think quite a big way to model being a Christian, model the gospel in that.
Yeah.
That's come up lots. So give us the other one. Give us gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude. So I think one of the key themes of the Christian life is seeing that you are so blessed, seeing what God has done for you through Christ on the cross, through even just his creation of the world. So many of the Psalms are praise, thanksgiving, response to God for his goodness. I think about passages like in the book of Philippians, the theme of joy, partnership because of what God has done. It's just everywhere through the Bible. And so we want to help our kids see that thankfulness is part of the default posture of the Christian life. And so where does that play itself out? We value it when we see them thankful for stuff, not taking things for granted when they're given something. When there's a good, I try to do this. I think, I don't know where I picked this up from, but seeing that the Christian life just plays itself out in my own life all the time. And so, going out for a walk, and just I'll say, I'm so thankful to God for that beautiful tree. Isn't that amazing? Thanks, God. So just trying to cultivate that in the kids, not taking things for granted. I'll give you some of the pointy ones.
Yeah.
When my kid's having a tantrum and chucks their tablet on the ground in anger because I'm saying, hey, no, it's time to hop off. This is the value I want to go to. Hey, you are not showing, gratitude is, this isn't deserved, this is a gift. And so digging into that space with them, that's a negative one. But at the positive, we at the dinner table every night, I have a question to ask, which is, what are you thankful for today?
Yeah.
And so each of the kids will, and me and Sophie do this as well, we'll all go around the table. I'm thankful for, actually, my daughter often, she'll be like, I'm thankful for watching TV or a toy and just little things like that. And sometimes they're not even things I'm like, TV, is that really what you're thankful for today? But we're trying to build this culture of the good things that you have are gifts from a good God.
Yeah, that's cool. Yes, one of the pointy heads with mine, it's a real sassy comment that we do for our kids, is like, say they had a bowl of ice cream and they're like, can I have another one? And it's like, no, you can't have another one. And they break down, tantrum. Yeah. And we say something like, what you're trying to say is, I really enjoyed that ice cream. I'm very grateful for it. But what you are saying is, give me more. I hate you for not giving me more. What you're trying to say is thank you for the ice cream.
Yeah.
But I get that. That gratitude, it's seeing the goodness of God in these things that he's given us.
And also the difference between fairness and grace. Because this has theological legs. It has legs in my Christian faith. When my kids need to understand what's fair and what's a gift.
Yeah.
And so you give them a bowl of ice cream. Did they deserve the ice cream? I mean, there's circumstances where it might be that's the fair thing that you've agreed upon. But often for my kids, I give them something, or and that the one gets more than the other, and they're like, that's not fair. I'm like, no, the whole thing's a gift. And so helping them understand that will actually help them in their Christian faith. Because so much of what God does for us is not fair. He doesn't treat us as we deserve. Shows us grace and mercy. Yeah.
No, that's helpful. What was the fourth one?
So the fourth one, or
truth.
fifth, truth. Truth. Yeah, truth. Truth made it on there primarily because my oldest lies heaps. And I was like, I just hate this. And I think there's a stage. Partly this is you think about like developmental psychology and a book like Whole Brain Child, really helpful. Like what are the stages of my kid? I read that and I was like, I've been expecting him to do this when he just can't because he's not developed. What an idiot I've been. But that book really helped me to kind of go, what should I expect at different stages? But around that kind of 5, 6, that's where they really start to experiment with like, there can be alternate realities that I can create through lies. So anyway, we put that one in there because I think as Christians we want to value the truth. We want to be honest with each other and truth in love as well. But and he just was like telling little white lies all the time. And I was like, let's value this early. And partly what I'm trying to do there, the bigger thing in my mind is I want to have the depth of relationship with my kids now and build into it so that when they're 15, he gets caught, I don't know, smoking weed or like driving without a seatbelt or something. He knows that he can come to his dad and tell the truth. He knows that I'm not going to come down more hard on him. He knows that I love him and that the truth will actually set him free. And so I try to with this one, the line that I use is, it'll always go better for you when you tell the truth. And I think that's a truth from the Bible.
Yeah.
That the truth will set you free. The darkness, lies live in the darkness. Deceit will lock you up and whittle you away in your heart. And so, yeah, I'm trying to put that in now, partly because I'm like, when they're teenagers, I know from my own relationship with my parents are Christian, they love me. And I didn't do a good job as a teenager of being truthful with them about some stuff when I was, and I was a young idiot. Yeah, and I'm thinking now, how can I think my parents did a good job, so I'm not critical of them. How can I explicitly over and over again say we value this, and I want you to know that you can come to me with the truth. Yeah, that's the idea there.
Last one then. What is it? You said you have Jesus in the center. How does that
Yeah,
fit? Why is that necessary in this framework?
yeah, it fits in because all those good things are secondary. Being like gratitude, truth, teamwork, humility, those are all secondary, and they are in some ways they're ends, but they're also means to an end of loving God. The verse that I put on our little Canva thing is Colossians 1:16. All things are made through Jesus and for Jesus. And you go like, if Jesus is at the center, another truth that's dear to me that I often come back to is in Ephesians 1, where God is working all things in unity to be under Christ, under the lordship of King Jesus. If that's where everything's heading, if that's the gospel, if that's the truth that Jesus is going to return one day, everyone's going to bow the knee to him. Those kind of truths, I just need to remind myself of them regularly, and our family needs to live that out. And so there might be times when we put aside preferences or enjoyments or other things in order to actually put legs on this value that Jesus is at the center. So for me, maybe it's we drove past a house the other day, this just giant mansion house, and everyone was like, "Oh, we could live there," and I was like, "Yeah, we could." But I'd probably have to get a different job, or we'd have to change the way. And we just had a conversation around like, hey, it's not a good or a bad thing to have a big house. But what we want more than that is to put Jesus at the center and think about the implications of what that will mean for the way we're generous, for the way we use the resources that we have. Yeah. It also has legs, I think, for our family in, I think as a dad, I don't know what you think about this. Sophie, my wife, because she's actually at home with our kids at the moment, with the 2-year-old particularly, the kids know from her that she's not going to hang out with them all the time. She might give them some one-on-one personal close attention, and other times they just go and play. But when I get home from work, the kids are like, Dad, 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 and all they want from me is my undivided attention. And there's something good there, but I need to help them see, even at some moments in our family life, you kids aren't first. Sometimes one of the ways I do this is I greet my wife when I come in the door.
Yeah.
I say hello to her first. She's the center of our family, not you kids. But even more than that, sometimes it's you kids aren't first. Wife's not even first in the. We're trying to do it together. But in the sense of what sits at the center of our family, ties our family together, is actually our love of God.
Yeah.
That's the direction. If it was just about me and my wife and our love and where we're going, might be a different direction. If it was about giving, the kids every single thing they want, might be a different direction.
Yeah.
But to tack and trim back to God at the center.
So these values, is this printed and framed in the house?
Yeah, it's printed, laminated, not framed. But we printed it. It's where they can see it. Often I'll point them out to the kids. We'll just talk to it, and that's a work in progress. I reckon if you asked my oldest, he'd be able to name them all. My middle child might name 3 of them. The youngest one just learned to talk. But yeah, so
I'm pretty interested in this one, Ben. I think I'll ponder this, chat to Yanni about this one, see if. Yeah, I like the idea of this. I last season I was chatting to Jamie Beveridge about kind of his family dynamic, and he also had frameworks of like that positive reinforcement where they they talked about like it was like shine on, and it was something that I think their kids came up with, and they all want to go shine on, which is all them trying to bring goodness out towards others and type of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they get back and they
That's
talk
cool.
about they'd have shared language to encourage and celebrate these type of things. And I like the idea of something like that. Probably anyway, so I like that idea.
Yeah, that's cool. But doing it in a grace culture, right? Like, it's not this hard, cold. Here's what we do, but I think all the time. It's really good for me. I'm often going, oh, these are our values. I haven't been showing humility in this moment, so I find it's just grace and
Yeah.
it's really helpful.
Let's go. All right, you got another idea for me?
Yeah, I got some more.
Yes.
Okay, tops or flops. Volcano Fridays. I'm not going to give you any more. You can just guess. You guess if it's a top. Actually, what do you think Volcano Fridays is?
Yeah, that's good. Volcano Fridays. Okay, it's not just going to be a vinegar bicarb experiment because
Every Friday.
every Friday.
I'd probably like that actually.
Volcano Fridays. Okay, I'm going to suggest that it's some kind of Friday outlet for big pent up feelings from the week. It's like
Oh, yeah.
let your rage out after a big week of school and daycare. You can flip your lid on a Friday. Like we're all just gonna like punch a punching bag.
Friday flip lids. That's another good name.
Friday flip your lid. Go on.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Fridays?
It's partly that, but it's more literal.
Yes.
More literal. So
We go to a volcano? What do you
yeah,
mean?
no, literally. So I've moved across the ditch. I live in Auckland now in New Zealand, and the city has volcanoes all over it. They're all extinct. Well, a lot of them are extinct. But it was just so random to us as an Aussie. I'm like, what do you mean there's volcanoes everywhere? But we just decided that the heart behind it was we need a moment in the week where our family does something special. We're creating shared memories, where we're an outlet for the week, a chance to chat. And so we just decided every Friday we're going to climb a volcano.
That's so cool.
And so it was cool. So we pick up from school, we'll go like get some snacks, make it heaps of fun, and we'll just go up a volcano. And it's just a cool chance to connect as a family, shared experience, get a photo together, just enjoy family time. I think sometimes, I mean, I don't know about you, my kids are just like they're a lot, and in a good way, but also like home life is just lots of chaos. And so if we're not intentionally creating these spaces of shared memories, family doing something together, it just doesn't happen
You're just
naturally.
trying to survive through
Yeah,
your
we're just
day.
trying to
You're trying to
survive.
survive through days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do a volcano every Friday, different one. We've climbed most of them around Auckland City now.
Yes.
And it's a chance to have that shared family experience together.
Oh man, anyone from New Zealand hearing me hear Volcano Friday and just default assume it must be a high school model volcano would be like that idiot doesn't know that volcanoes exist in the
didn't
real
know-
world.
That's me. I moved. I was like, "What do you mean there's volcanoes everywhere?"
Sorry, Kiwis.
Yeah, sorry
My
about that.
ignorance of
Yeah.
your culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's a tops. There's no downside to that, surely. That's just tops.
Yeah, that was tops. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been tops.
All right, give me one more.
It's been cool.
Give me
Okay,
one more.
I'll give you this last one. This one for me. This was a mindset change
Yep.
that I had to do, and I'll call it kids as self-care.
Kids as self-care.
Yep.
Man, I already know this is a flop, but go on. Kids as self-care.
Pampering.
Go on. What is it?
So this was. I remember hearing this from a psychologist, and I'm not necessarily someone that's super in touch with my emotions, and but it was in this context of what's good for you, how do you pursue emotional health, vitality, and she said it like this. She was like, what do you need? So you're a dad, you're stressed, you work a busy job, there's pressures at work, there's deadlines, there's people to manage, frustrations, all that kind of stuff. What do you most need when you clock off? And she was like, what you need is to laugh, to get outside, to do something active, to like have a bit of fun, to stop taking yourself so seriously, to recognize that the world is bigger and more beautiful than just your little career goals and things that you're working on. And so she said, in that end, make the transition now to view your kids as self-care. to say, hey, what do I most need when I clock off work, when I get home? I'm going to go and play with my kids. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to kick a ball. I'm going to run around, and making the change to see that that's not arduous or hard work, even though sometimes it is. And the last thing you want to do is do that when you've had a hard day. But just going like, go and do it and enjoy it. And so do that as self-care. So that was a really helpful mindset shift for me.
All right, you've said helpful, so that gives it. But I'm going to give you my thoughts before you tell me whether you think this is a win or not.
Yeah,
so
go.
I think I hate it.
Yeah.
I can be quite a contrarian. I like a new idea, but I'm also can be a real naysayer.
Yeah. Go.
Here's what I think, right?
Okay.
Sometimes, do you ever hear people say things like, enjoy every moment, it'll be gone. Lots of different ways of saying, like, one day you'll wish the house was a mess because there'll be no toys around. You heard that kind of stuff?
There'll be one day where it's the last hug
there'll be no more fingerprints on the glass to clean off, like those kind of things. And I dislike it. And I dislike it because of the, one, because I find it a little bit dismissive of the hardship of kid life. That's just like, stop being a downer and just trying to survive through the day. And just enjoy it. And so part of me is like, it is so dismissive of what's a really hard experience. And partly it just creates this like high pressure environment of like, you better enjoy every moment of this. You enjoy it. So a little bit of me thinks, look, that's a cool mindset because there's something, it's rich relational time, and family isn't a chore, it's greatly meaningful. So partly I like it, and partly I hate it. So what do you think? Has it been good? Have you found that mindset?
For me, it has been a game changer.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I get it, it's not a trite thing, and I think there are still lots
works for your personality.
Yeah.
I think you can handle that kind of mental switch. I think that would help you, not cripple you.
Yeah, but so much of parenting, I think, is a mind game mindset, a right expectations, it's like going on holidays with your kids, right? Any dad who's gone on holidays with young kids, is it restful? No. Is it refreshing? Oh, kind of, but I'm just chasing my kids around for a week with less toys.
Excursions instead of holidays.
It's like I got none of the comforts or toys of home, and it's just hard work. And I'm supposed to come back from that, and I get back to my desk, and I'm like, oh, now I can have a break from the holiday. But there's a sense where, I think the mindset, the expectations, what am I hoping, it's not self-care in the sense of complete, but in the sense of what do I need? There's some really good things that being a dad offers. View it as a gift, not a curse. That's the way the Bible speaks about parenting. Even in the hard stuff, look for the joy. I think the days when my mindset is off or my expectations are off, that's when I tend to get resentful. And I go, all I do all day is give of myself to others. And then I come home and I got to do it with my kids. But actually going, hey, there's a real blessing, a real joy, the mindset of this is good for me. It really helps me. And I think that points me to the reminder that God has been so gracious with me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's been a win for me. It might not be a win for everyone.
No, look, that's cool, man. I'll just rag on the idea in the post podcast.
Yeah, good.
The post podcast outro chat.
Yeah, good.
Good conversation with Ben. That last idea sucked. No. Maybe it's good if it's self-inflicted and it's crippling if you feel it as an external pressure.
Yes.
That's partly the thing I'm trying to think of. Savor every moment. Self-driven is gratitude.
Yeah.
Outside imposed is guilt. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, and just if the mindset is forced on you, but if you go, hey, what mindset do I want to have? How do I pursue that? Maybe there's the difference.
Oh, that's cool. There you go. 5 ideas, tops and flops. Love that. That's Look, Ben, I've
had a million other flops as well. I just feel like I'm having a crack, and there's probably more flops than tops. And given we talked about personality, I just trying to try stuff all the time. Yeah.
No, that's cool. Well, I think that's inspired me. There's some of them that I'm going to chew on a lot more. So appreciate it. Appreciate throwing around some ideas.
It's been real
with
fun.
The ideas guy.
It's always lovely to chat with you, Kurtis.
So good. Talking to Ben, I really enjoyed this episode. Getting to see some of his ideas and being able to chat those things through. Particularly enjoyed hearing about his values for his family and how that plays out day to day in their parenting. Thought that was awesome. Look, I've got to say that the last idea that I hated, I recorded this episode a while ago, so I've been thinking about it for a while. And yeah, I'm back on board. Like, I actually, genuinely, I think it's a really good one. And if it's an attitude I can bring myself to as I think about family, and I've been trying it out a bunch lately, just trying to have that mindset, and I think it's been really good. So yeah, I'm back on board. Ben, I take it back. I love it. I think it's great. Obviously, if you're a stay-at-home on your kids all the time, I imagine that would play out very differently. Be keen to hear from you how you think that could play out. Reach out. Yep. I'll put all the resources that Ben talked about, catechism, stuff like that. I'll put links to them in the description of the podcast. So yeah, lots of good stuff. I hope that was useful. Reach out. The link to our website where you can contact me with any questions or feedback that'll be in the description for the podcast too. Feel free to do that. And we'll have a little bit more from Ben coming out in a bonus ep on Friday. So get into that, and we'll see you next time.